It's about a year ago when I posted the first time to buy video, which was about the Nintendo Wii U. So it feels somehow correct that the subject of today's video is its handheld contemporary, the Nintendo 3DS. The Nintendo Wii U was launched and discontinued within the 3DS's lifespan. It's actually not too uncommon for Nintendo handhelds to overlap multiple Nintendo home consoles, since they usually end up living full and healthy lives due to their success. Overall, I think it's safe to say that the 3DS probably is closer to the end of its life cycle rather than its beginning, but it's still a current console that you can buy brand new, which is nice, and the list of great games it has is tremendous. If you've never had a Nintendo 3DS before, I would highly recommend checking one out. Other than the 3DS games, you can also play DS games since it's backwards compatible, and the Virtual Console has plenty of old games that expand the game library even more. Something I find particularly noteworthy is that the 3DS is capable of playing literally decades worth of video games because of the Virtual Console and its backwards compatibility. For example, take a look at Pokemon. Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, and Gen 7. The only games you can't play are the GBA games. With Zelda, it's kinda similar. The Legend of Zelda, Link's Adventure, Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, The Oracle of Ages and Seasons, the DS games Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, not to mention the brilliant remakes of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and a 3DS exclusive Link Between Worlds. There are many other games I quite like as well. Fire Emblem Awakening is a game that I spent a lot of time with. It's a strategy RPG that's quite deep and provides a good challenge. Rune Factory 4 is another game I like a lot. It's a Harvest Moon spin-off, but with the ability to fight and tame monsters. There's also Fantasy Life, which is an RPG, but also a life simulation game, which somehow gives it a relaxing atmosphere throughout. There's a ton to do and even features online multiplayer, which actually works quite nicely. Super Mario 3D Land, I think, is the most easy Mario game to play in short bursts. Levels are interesting and fun, but they're also short, which was nice for me when I used to commute to work on train. I think this idea of pick-up ability was refined into what eventually became Super Mario Odyssey, because I get a similar sort of vibe when playing it. Also, Bravely Default should be mentioned as well, since it's a celebration of classic JRPGs. The music is beautiful and the towns are illustrated so nicely, especially with the 3D turned on. You literally have to see it to believe it. And the list goes on. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, Super Smash Bros., Mario Kart 7, Xenoblade Chronicles. You know what? Just search for top Nintendo 3DS games on Google and I'm sure you'll find something that'll interest you. Now let's start talking about the hardware since there's been a lot of different models over the years. The Nintendo 3DS first came out in March of 2011. If you compare it to a DS Lite or DSi, it looks fairly similar. It still has a dual screen layout and clamshell case design. If we look a bit closer, we can see that the top screen is bigger than the bottom screen, and it has an analog stick. It also packs a bigger punch in the horsepower department with better graphical capabilities, but the biggest feature of the 3DS is the 3D feature. This isn't something I can show on video. It's adjustable with a slider, so you can turn it off if it hurts your eyeballs. I think it works relatively well and can look really cool, but I turn it off most of the time since it affects the performance and battery life. Most people I know just turn it off as well. The 3DS also has 3D cameras, which takes terrible photos, a regular front-facing camera, which also takes terrible photos, and a microphone. The 3DS also comes with these AR cards, with AR standing for Augmented Reality. I don't think there's any major game that really takes advantage of this feature, but it's an interesting idea. Then a little bit more than a year later, the 3DS XL came out. It boasts big screens, of course, and slightly better battery life. I really like the XL over the original. The edges are more rounded and comfortable to hold, and the buttons don't take as much force to press down on, which is something I really didn't like on the original. By the way, if you're wondering if the hinge wobble is normal, it is. The new 3DS XL does the same thing actually, and it's fine. In October 2013, Nintendo decided to bring to market a more durable and cheaper alternative to the 3DS and 3DS XL. The Nintendo 2DS. As the name suggests, there's no 3D feature here, which is probably perfectly fine for most people anyway. There's no hinge to break, which is good for children who keep breaking stuff. If you were ever given a 2DS as a gift, maybe your parents were trying to tell you something. It only has one speaker, which is a bit tragic. Going from stereo to mono is a real downgrade, but not only that, the speaker is offset to one side, which is something I can't stand. Not really a problem though if you're using headphones. They are nice to hold in my opinion and otherwise quite alright to play with. One interesting fact I like about this thing is that the top and bottom screens are actually just one huge screen underneath the faceplate. Whatever works, I guess. In 2014 or 2015, depending on where you live, The 3DS and 3DS XL got a refresh and were called the New 3DS and New 3DS XL. I think the name is a bit silly, kind of like the VW New Beetle. Both the normal and XL models got some interesting new additions. The front camera tracks your face for better 3D viewing angles. There's a new right analog stick, ZL and ZR buttons on the back, which are actually quite alright to reach. Automatic brightness adjustment, micro SD storage rather than SD, better battery, integrated amiibo support so you don't need a separate accessory, and more processing power and even better button feel. The thing that's a bit annoying is that the fact that it doesn't come with an AC adapter, so you have to purchase one separately if you don't have one already. There are also some games that only work on these newfangled 3DSs and not the old ones, like Xenoblade for example, and all Super Nintendo Virtual Console releases. For that reason, I think the best 3DS to get would be one of the new ones. The screen size of the regular sized new 3DS is slightly larger than the old one and even has replaceable faceplates, which is actually pretty cool. Too bad the new 3DS XL doesn't have that feature. In 2017, Nintendo released yet another variation, the 2DS XL. It's a bit like a collision between a new 3DS XL and a 2DS. So you've got the form factor, processing power, control layout, and features of the new XL, but without the 3D effect. Or the price tag. Plus it looks awesome. I love the design on it. It's one of the best looking Nintendo handhelds ever. There's less visual clutter and overall more refinement. I want to have it just because it looks so cool. Overall, the Nintendo 3DS is a good family of handheld consoles with plenty of great games. It's not that expensive anymore, especially if you're going the used route, and Nintendo plans to support the console beyond 2018, so we don't have to worry about the eShop going away quite yet. I also think that the percentage of good games is higher on the 3DS than the DS. The DS touchscreen was used and abused with horrible control schemes and gimmicks, but the 3DS's bigger top screen meant that the touchscreen no longer was the main screen, which discouraged over-enthusiastic game developers from developing games with unnecessary touch controls. And if the 3D effects come across as gimmicky or aren't really your thing, well, you can just turn those off. That's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this console review. If you want to keep up with what I'm up to, check out the description for links to Twitch, Twitter, and all that sort of thing. If you like these videos, consider taking a look at the Patreon page. With your support, I'd be able to gather some more interesting things to review or take a look at. And you get some rewards too, like, for example, early access to a lot of the videos and constant updates on what I'm working on. And finally, if you're looking to get yourself some t-shirts, you should check out tblocks.com. They are a t-shirt subscription service with fully licensed geek and gamer shirts. Use the promo code in the description if you decide to sign up, because you'll support the channel and save 10% on your order. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.